For tuning in to the Monday morning motivation podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about some really key things that are going to allow you guys to set up yourselves for success this week. The goal inevitably is to try and make sure that you guys start your week in the right way, because momentum is a real thing. And if you can start your week in the right way, it means you're going to have a successful week and you're going to get the most out of it as well. So, good morning, Jake. How you doing? You good?
I'm good, thank you, mate. You okay? It's a bit chilly this morning. That's my only complaint. It's a bit chilly, a bit misty, a bit cold.
Yeah, man, it is chilly. It is chilly. I was on the move at like 4:45 this morning, and it was like so misty you couldn't even see anything on the roads, man.
Nice.
The only thing that winds me up is when people drive it, like when it's that misty, everybody goes a hell of a lot slower, and I'm like, look, dude, it may be misty, but we have lights on our cars. You can see when where a car is. You can see kind of what's on the road in front of you. You're going to be fine. You can at least go 50% of the speed limit. Do you know what I mean? Or like, there's no need to go 20 in a 60.
Yeah, definitely not one of those people. Zoom into work this one, 50 miles an hour and a 30 limit. Love it. What? No, I wasn't.
All right, so let's get stuck into the meat and bones of today then. So we got 5 things that I wanted to speak about today. So the first one is how to get started with your week in the right way. So have you got any thoughts on that one, Jake?
I am all prepped, ready to go for the week. Food's ready, schedule's ready. I know what I'm doing today. So just a case of cracking on with it, man. Cracking on with it. Done the classes already, so motivated and ready to go. So yeah, that's my way of starting the week.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to get across to the guys that are doing coaching, or if you are just tuning in and you're not doing coaching, maybe you're just someone from YouTube, is that it's the idea of like not wanting to feel like you want to do it. And I think like a lot of people wake up on a Monday and they feel like they're going to have this inherent sort of thing inside of them that's going to make them want to meal prep, want to go to the gym, want to hit their cardio. In reality, that's just not the case. For the people that actually do make a massive change in their physiques, it's not the people that feel like they want to be in the gym, it's the people that just do it anyway. So, one of the biggest things to take from that is that even if you don't feel like doing it, that is completely normal. You are not destined for failure. It's just get in the kitchen, get your meals prepped, get to the gym, hit your step target. Whether or not you might not even train in the morning, but going out and doing a walk or something, or just prepping your meals is still good. And that will start you up with the momentum that you need for the week. And then everything becomes a hell of a lot easier as a byproduct of that.
It's that idea of being comfortable, of uncomfortable. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And then over time, it slowly becomes normal, really, doesn't it? And then it becomes a lot easier. So it's kind of the more you practice, the more easier it gets. Like with anything.
Yeah, it's the idea of actually putting things into practice as opposed to just waiting around for it. I think what is that? There is a quote. I think there is a quote. I can't remember the quote word for word, but it's something along the lines of like, action builds success. Waiting won't get you anywhere, for example, right? So I think most people on a Monday wait for the day where they feel motivated, which is like one day a month. Like for me, every morning when I wake up, I get out of bed. I had a really bad night's sleep last night. Now my first PT at like 5 a.m. So at that point, it's like, oh God, I've got to travel 20 minutes to the place where I'm going to do that. And I've still got a meal prep. I still got to do those things. So I had to be up at 3:50 to be able to get ready. Like if I've had a bad night's sleep, I do not want to get up at 3:50 to be able to do those things. But ultimately, the only thing that's going to allow me to be able to progress with my goals and to be able to be the best possible coach I can be is by getting up and getting going anyway. So you just have to do these things anyway, guys. Yeah, because waiting around will do absolutely nothing but keep you in the exact same position that you're currently in, which is thinking about making a change and actually not doing anything about it. So inevitably, nothing happens. Okay.
I feel that. I think the first couple of weeks I started doing the morning classes, it was like, holy shit, I'm not a morning person whatsoever. And it was a ball ache, wasn't it? Like you'd come into the gym and you'd see me and you'd be like, Jake, are you actually present in the room today? And now it's a hell of a lot different because you've just done it over time and you just get better at doing things. Like, yeah, there are still some things in the morning that I'm like, like not comfortable with, but you just do it. And then eventually it becomes absolutely fine. and then you feel that self accomplishment as well, which is great, which is a brilliant feeling.
Just realized I hadn't actually unmuted myself there. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was how your private effort is your real standard, right? And I suppose the best way to put this, and when I sort of wrote this, it's like all the quiet moments where people aren't watching are the main things that is going to actually move the needle when it comes to transforming your body in whatever way you want it to go. So, whether or not it be you're trying to drop body fat, you're trying to improve in strength, or even if you're putting on body fat, right? Which isn't a goal, but I'm saying it's an outcome of what you do in your private time. What you do when people aren't watching is ultimately what's going to dictate the result that you get. So let's say, for example, if you are meal prepping, if you are getting up early, if you are going to the gym when no one else is there and it's really, really quiet, then the outcome will be that is your real standard. So your body will hold to that, which means that you will progress, you will look good. In those times where people actually see you, they will only see the outcome of those decisions you've made privately on your own. Equally, in those private times, if you've chosen to sleep in, if you've chosen to eat poorly, if you've chosen not to meal prep, if you've chosen to take your health for granted, again, the choices you make in your private time will dictate the outcome when you are in your public time, right? So yeah, you need to make sure that all the choices that you make when no one's around are positive ones and they're actually going to actively move the needle forwards. And no one's going to be around cheering for you, but the biggest cheer that you could have for yourself is knowing that you are holding yourself to a high standard, which makes you look in the mirror and ultimately like what's looking back at you, not for just the physical result, but for what you stand for as well.
Coaching is brilliant, right? So coaching obviously does give you the fundamentals, it gives you the tools, but there is the element of, yes, accountability from us, but that again, like self accountability, like you've signed yourself up to a process. And even if you're not doing coaching, if you are just starting a gym journey, again, like if you are losing body fat or gaining muscle, like you've signed yourself up for that. So there is this level of like, right, I have to get off my ass and do it. Like no one's going to do it for you. Like there are a lot of things out there that people can do for you, but changing your body and your physique is not one of those things. So there is that element of like, I'm going to take accountability for myself and like really stay to my word. And that's what I say to some of the clients I get on board, especially guys. It's like you want to raise yourself to a standard. You've got to like stick by your word, like stay by your word. For example, like I say I'm going to do a bodybuilding show this year. Like I'm going to stay to that and then push as hard as I can to do that, because then in my mind I'm like, right, I know I can actually like get to that standard like you mentioned.
And I think as soon as standards even slip a slight bit and you're aware of it and you know that standard is slipping, like say for example, it's something small that you set yourself out to do. I know for me it could be something as small as like, I know, I said I'm going to clean the kitchen, right? So if I've said to myself, no one else, yeah, I'm like, I'm going to surprise Maddie and I'm going to clean the kitchen for when she gets home, right? I'm just going to do a little bit and I know she appreciates that. So if I know that I've set myself out that to do and I have not done it, then I actually take a hit on my own self-confidence. I haven't told anybody else. So no one else knows that I've had that to do. I haven't let anybody else down by myself. And I then go into work, go into conversations knowing that I'm the type of person that's willing not even to follow through on things for myself. So how could other people rely on me, right? So for me, it's like any decision that I've made to do something, I have to follow through with that. Otherwise, I can't be the most confident version of myself, then bring that into my workplace to then help other people. So I have this inherent need to make sure I'm always showing up. And if I don't, then it hits me. And I think that happens for most people, whether they want to admit it or not. It does happen to pretty much everybody. So just don't, if you've got personal standards, if you set yourself out things to do, and again, going back to the main reason of this whole topic, what you do in the quiet time when no one else is watching and the agreements you make with yourself when no one else is around is very important, if not just as important as holding yourself to a standard that you would uphold for one of your friends when they've asked you to do something and you've agreed to it. So just make sure you just follow through with it, yeah?
Yeah, we are not like perfect. I mean, take the last week for example. Came in here and wasn't as motivated as normal, and it takes, a side effect of that is it affects other people around you, and the last thing you want to do is affect the environment, especially one that you are passionate about, just because of like one off day. So open and admitted, lessons learned. It's never happening again, but it's just, I think it's nice for the people out there to know that sometimes, even the people that are giving you advice aren't always perfect. However, they are trying to be better each day, just like anyone else, you know.
Yeah.
And again, you go back to like the holding to a higher standard. And like you mentioned, with like, if you set yourself out a task to do and you don't get it done, like you then don't think like you can do stuff for other people. Like I get an immense sense of guilt. Like exact same example, if I say I'm going to go clean something or do something, and then I see the person that's asked me to do it go and do it, I'm like, oh fuck, I feel really bad now. So it's just telling yourself what you need to do and just getting it done, and that guilt will, it will cease to exist, and you'll get this amazing feel of accomplishment if you just get stuff done. basically, basically. And as a byproduct, you'll look fucking insane.
Yeah, and I think going back to what you mentioned about last week as well, I think you said something that was like really, really like useful for both of us, really, because it like opened my eyes up a little bit as well. Even when I said it back to you, I was the one who was saying it to you at the time, but then I was there like, actually, that's really true because there are loads of aspects of my life that I could improve on. And I remember you saying that like there will be days where I'm not going to be 100%. And then I was there like, well, do you think that the people that are levels above us will turn up not motivated on the days they don't feel like it, right? And I was like, oh man, that's like really, really powerful because for me, even there are other aspects of my life going where I was like, I'm going to use that because when I'm sat here and I'm like, oh, man, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'm ultimately going to think like, will the people that are levels above us in our industry be sat here going, I'll just do it tomorrow, or would they go, nah, I've got to deliver, so I need to do this now? Pardon me, getting a bit of a cough, I think. So I think it comes down to on the days where you don't feel like it. Again, for last week it was like motivation wise. It's like just show up and just be disciplined to turn up in a specific way to be able to move the needle forwards even when you don't feel like it. And sometimes, I mean, I even said it to you, I've been in some fucking terrible businesses in the past. Awful. They were like really abusive to staff, shit places. But I was always I think I've come into a few meetings where I wasn't motivated and they called me up on it. And then I've then gone like, right, fuck it. I'm just going to turn up and fake it till I make it, even on the worst possible days. And then as soon as I've started faking it and putting in the discipline to just be involved in conversation, even though I don't want to be, by the time the meeting's ended, I'm like, oh, right, ready for the day. So sometimes fake it till you make it actually it does reign true and it does help get past those harder moments. But you've got to just stay disciplined to the principles that you ultimately would do if you were motivated, which is hard. It is probably one of the hardest skills that you'll ever need to learn because it's like fighting your anatomy and your physiology. But again, the people that are for the guys listening in, the guys that are in crazy shape, the ladies that are in crazy shape, are the ones that will get the worst possible fucking news and then be there like, oh man, that sucks. You know what? There's nothing I can do about it right now. This has happened. So I'm going to continue my routine like normal. I'm still going to go to the gym. Yeah, I'm not going to be 100%, but I'm still going to turn up anyway. And then I'm going to deal with what I can deal with outside of that. But I'm not going to let it hold me back from moving the needle.
I think it's having the attitude as well, is that like, is what I'm annoyed or upset or feeling bad about actually worth the energy? Because people, and we spoke about it on Thursday actually, people have lots of energy for lots of pointless shit in their lives, and not necessarily pointless, but like you mentioned there, stuff that they can't actually deal with. So I don't know, let's say you have a loss in the family, like yes, it is very sad, but the best thing that you can do is still work on yourself, because in a byproduct you get out of that, you're stronger, you're more resilient, and you're like, look, bad shit happens, I can deal with it in a really positive way. And it's not just, and it's not like this idea of like you need to be in the gym 24/7. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. It's the idea of, again, like I mentioned, if there's negative stuff going on in your life, you know what to put your energy towards. You know, so like, say you've had a shit day at work. Okay, cool. Are you going to go home and think about how shit your day was at work, or are you going to go to the gym, distract yourself, work on yourself, and then leave the gym being like, oh, I actually feel better now because I've directed the negative energy I had towards something positive, and I feel good. I've worked out. I've ticked that box for the day, and then I'm done. I haven't just moped around and been like, oh, you know, life's really sad. So
Yeah, man, definitely. And it is super hard to do, bro. It is always a tough challenge to be able to disassociate from life like that. Um, and like we spoke about on Thursday when my granddad passed away and I was like in prep, I remember having to have like a really hard conversation because my emotions were all over the place. And if you were in on Thursday, you'd understand that like my granddad pretty much raised me. But for me, I was like, well, the last thing, if there is a heaven, which I hope there is, and I hope he's up there and he's chilling out, just fucking flying Hercules planes around everywhere. For me, my if he could look down and see me, like, would he want me to stop doing what is actively making me feel better and progressing as a human being? Because he's passed away. My granddad is ex-RAF, so he was like discipline over everything. So absolutely not. So why would I stop doing what I'm pursuing for the fact that he's no longer there? He's just at a different phase of his life, and this is something that we'll all encounter at some point. We're all going to die eventually. It's really morbid to say that, but the biggest thing is if that is a different phase of your life, and we're all going to go there eventually. Why waste this phase because someone else is just across from you in a different phase of their life? And ultimately, anyone, I think anybody that passes away, if I died, I would not want Maddie to just sit as a recluse for 6 months. Yeah, I know there are some people that are massively egotistical that would want their partner to be like, yeah, I want them to grieve. I would I would be way more upset if I could see the living world and see Maddie was doing nothing because I'd passed away. Whereas I would really like her to continue doing what she's doing that she's passionate about and progress as a human being and ultimately as my partner. And even though I'm not there, continue moving because eventually we're going to meet up and I'd love to hear all about it. So, it's just one of those things I think that you have to try and force yourself to do. And I think that really covers the next topic, which is how to use discipline over effort to get insane results, which is just turning up. Yeah, sometimes it just requires turning up and putting in the effort even when you don't feel like it. And I think the other thing I wanted to touch on, which is when it comes to getting insane results, you don't always have to be 110%. And this is something that I really picked up on last week during PT sessions. There are a few, I would say the majority of my bodybuilding clients are generally ADHD. Yeah, like whether they're diagnosed or not, they definitely got a level of autism or a level of ADHD. And I have a new client called Liam who just signed up, and we were chatting about it. And he is analytical as fuck, right? And he was like, I need to know the exact amount of grams. Like, I put in some grams for my rice yesterday, and it was like 2 grams over, and it really fucked me. And I was like, dude, all of this stuff is really, really like minor. Yeah, well, literally, it will not impact the result you're getting, right? Um, However, because in his mind he's now no longer 100%, it means that he's now at that point treating it as if he's like 10%, right? Whereas actually, with your plans, guys, and if you are on a plan or any kind of protocol, being 80 to 90% most of the time is absolutely fine. You are going to move the needle. And this is from someone that literally does people's check ins. And I ask people where the nutrition accuracy is at. And I would say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, so on and so forth. There is actually very negligible difference. I'm not using this as an excuse for, by the way, you guys to go out and just like crash off your diets. But for a little bit of flexibility, when someone's at like 80 to 90%, they're still getting incredible results because the majority of the time, I don't know, 35 out of 40 meals in a week, 36 out of 40 meals in a week is still going to be the majority, and your body will follow the majority over the minority, right? As long as the minority isn't absolutely excessive. So don't dwindle, don't really focus on the little things that go wrong in your week. Just pick yourself up, move back on and try and learn from it and don't let it happen again. And then just keep moving forwards. But there will always be hurdles. And when those hurdles pop up, you do not have to be 120%. You can be 80%. And that's still okay for that time. Don't let it throw you off.
again, going back to my point where some people think that like the gym and that life is like 24/7 all the time when it's just not the case. It's just not reality. Like life does get in the way sometimes, so not everything's going to be 100% all the time. Like, yeah, you'll have weeks where it is 100%, but we have to be realistic. You don't know what's going to happen in tomorrow or even like an hour's time. Like your car might go bust and you won't be able to get to the gym. So like you said, haven't got to be 100% all the time. 80 to 90%, brilliant. Like whatever habits that you have installed, your brain's going to follow that and you're going to make some level of progress. Even when you are in the gym and say you're not lifting as heavy as you were before, if you're still doing like quality reps and it's exercise is still good and that hasn't gone downhill, then that's still a level of progress. I had a lady in this morning, Sarah, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not squatting as much as I used to. Like, I'm just going down." And I'm like, "Well, you're not going down because your form's got better. So if anything, you're going up because you're doing it properly." So it's this idea as well that you have to be like perfect all the time, all the time. Like when I do the group PT sessions, and people are like, "Oh, I haven't got a PB in a while. Maybe I should try and up this." It's like try perfecting what you've got at the moment first, and then think about going up. Because then if you go up when it's too soon to do so, then you're gonna have poor form. You probably won't be able to do it properly, and therefore you would have done more harm than you would have good, even though the incentive to go up is a good thing. So it hasn't always got to be 100%, like you said. You're right.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Funnily enough, not 80%, 100%. um, yeah, I think that moves us on to the next thing, number 4 out of the 5, which is owning your last year's self. And I got a bit of a controversial opinion on this one, Jake.
Hit me now.
Okay, if you're not embarrassed by your last year's self, then you're not growing fast enough, in my opinion.
I'm so embarrassed by my last year self. I was going to do a high rocks. I think that lasted 2 months. And I was like, Lewis, like, this is so fucking boring. We're doing
Mm,
classic. Oh my
mm.
god, man, it was awful. I'm so embarrassed by my last year self. Very.
Yeah, well, I think in a positive mentality, you should see that as like a positive thing, right? Because for me, I'm even embarrassed by my last year self. I did some incredible things last year, like some things that I'm incredibly proud of. Like me and Maddie got engaged. It was awesome. Like, I love that. The You came on board last year, which is awesome. The gym progressed last year. But for me, it's not enough. Like, I want to be even better and I want to be moving forwards and I want to be growing. So that basically means that, yeah, last year was cool, but that's here now and I want to be here. So that requires me understanding that, like, actually, even though I'm proud of what I did, still this year I'm going to make that look almost embarrassing that I was proud of that, because we're going to do some bigger things this year. And I'm not saying there's something that can trump me proposing to my missus at all, apart from getting married. But
Proposing to me.
but I do think that in terms of the gym, in terms of myself as well as an individual, I would like to progress, whether that be emotionally, being able to deal with people a little bit better, whether that be like spiritually in terms of like how like I I I deal with certain situations, how I actively look to move forwards, how I view myself, etc. My physique, my business, my coaching clients, all those things. I would like the results from my coaching clients to be so much better this year that even last year. Last year's results are like not as good, and if not mediocre compared to this year's insane results. Yeah. So I do think that if you look back at last year and you're like happy with where you were, I do think it's going to stunt where you are going to be going or where you want to go, because ultimately you want to do something every year that progresses on what you did the previous, so that you can consistently grow. That's not to say, like I just said a second ago, that you can't be proud of certain elements of it, but there's no reason why you couldn't do even more this year.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's not necessarily like a sense of embarrassment. It's more of just like a what can I do better? Just as simple as that. Like for me, it's like getting up and doing the classes like way better than what I was last year. You know, doing again classic bodybuilding again. Starting an own fucking like online presence. Social media, etc. So already like miles above where we were last year, which is great, and obviously in the gym as well, which is perfect.
Yeah, your content has got so much better. I bet you any money because you have progressed quite a lot. If you look back at some of the first videos you made in here, you'd be like,
Oh my
"Why?"
god, in it, so many I watch. I'm like, Jake, shut the fuck up. I'm like, who's this adolescent child talking to me on Instagram right now?
It was needed, man, because ultimately it's led to you getting here. It's like the whole 100 bad reps thing, right? You need 100 bad reps to be able to be good at something. Um, for you, that was of content creation. That's even with the gym. Like for you, first year was you getting in here and putting on muscle. Second year was like, not second year, but like it's still within that first year was you doing prep, but that was like another phase of your journey. Um, Now this year it's about you going up a level to bodybuilding and actually starting your coaching business and doing well in your coaching business like every year. And at the end of this year, you'll set out another goal that pushes you even further. And then that'll be like your coaching business going even further, maybe going bodybuilding to another level. Say, for example, like classic bodybuilding to a two bros standard at a high level to be able to go to a pro qualifier or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's you always want to be able to progress on your previous year. I don't think being embarrassed is a bad thing. I think sometimes that just embarrassment realistically is looking back on your previous experiences and going, I could have done that way better with my current skills now, which is not a bad thing to do. I think it's just labeled as a bad thing because people are happy with where they are and it's like a coping mechanism.
I do love this industry in the sense of like it kind of is like the gym that you can always progress, which is great, and it's always very exciting. And it's like when we talk about like our lifts. Like I remember the first time I ever did deadlift 100 kilos. Now like you do it for reps and you get bored of it. So it is a very exciting industry, 100%. And there are so many different elements to it as well. You've got like the social media, you've got like the consistent use of like AI that we are always on, and it's like everything's changing all the time, but there's like so much information. It's very exciting. You've got like your own gym journey on top of that. You've got the gym journey of like your coaching clients as well. You know, you see all these friendly faces in the gym. So it is this industry for me. I've worked like many 9 to 5 jobs, and there's only so much progression you can have in some of the 9 to 5 jobs that I've done. Whereas this is like constantly changing. So like the amount of times that we've come into the office and like, cool, we're gonna do this week because this has changed, and then the next day, literally the next day, we come back in. We're like, we're actually gonna do this today because it's changed again. It's like fucking hell, but it's good because it just means you learn so much, like so much, and you're constantly improving. You're constantly way better than you were the day before, let alone the year before.
Mhm.
So in this guys, and it is fun to look back and be like, oh my god, what was I doing? But like you said, had to do that in order for us to be where we are now. Like we came across a YouTube channel at some point, didn't we? And we watched that, and it was like, if you didn't edit like that, then you wouldn't edit like how you do today. So it's exciting. It's like a little flashback. It's very exciting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy how much you've changed as a person as well over that time. And I think, like you said, it's not just the social media; it's the mentality shift as well. Like for me, how I would have dealt with stuff a year or 2 years ago is massively different to how I would deal with stuff now. And I do think the industry that we're in promotes growth all round, not just in your body. And the best athletes and the best transformations that I know of are people that have actively looked to grow everywhere rather than just their body. It's like, when you're training for like a specific level of muscle or body composition, you have to show an element of graft, huge element of graft, but a huge element of restraint as well. Like knowing, I mean, we've done it before where we've openly worked with prep clients where I've been like, look, dude, you're going to go back to the gym. You're going to feel really, really strong after a prep. You should not be pushing your weights. Even though you feel like it, you're going to want to lift heavy. Your body is not ready to lift heavy. And then they've gone and they've torn their pack. And it's because they've just not listened to that advice. And they've just chosen to do it anyway. And it's like you have to learn to restrain yourself as well as knowing when to push. And it's like the same, you can then carry that in life, going like, look, actually, I could do this to this degree, but is that actually needed? And will that actually impact this certain situation in a positive way? Or will it just actually cause more problems downstream from me doing a little bit more? So you have to sometimes pull back. And it's like, so many aspects of life you could apply that to, so it's like a really good psychological development industry to be in. as long as you approach it in the right way. The next thing really is the last thing I want to talk about is what to do when life throws curveballs at you. And this is something that I really, really wanted to touch on because it's something that I'm massively passionate about. And I've actually made some notes as well because there was a quote that I listened to on a podcast that really like resonated with me. And it was, do not give power to your excuses, own your circumstances because no one else will. Yeah. And I believe personally, and we've had this time and time and time again, people coming in here with a variety of different excuses. And the more power that you give to those excuses by going, this is the excuse that's going to stop me from pursuing my goals, the less likely you are going to ever achieve your goals, period. Like some of the stuff that people come in here and talk to me about as an excuse, I'm like, I've just had someone come in with a reason that was so insane that was like, losing a family member or financially being at rock bottom. And they were sat here going, I cannot afford to lose the progress that I made because this has made me such a better person. I'm going to work around it. I'll figure it out. And then someone coming in here going, oh, you know what? I wake up every morning, I feel a bit tired. So it's just not for me. And it's like, you're giving power to your excuse, whereas the other person is not, and in a much worse situation, and they're willing to fight through it. Trust me when I tell you, your excuses. There is someone out there with a much worse circumstance, with so many horrible things happening to them, and they're still choosing to turn up. So don't give power to those excuses. Figure out how to work around them. Everything has a workaround. Yeah. And that's again why we are coaches. That's what we're here to do. It's like to reason with you and go, okay, cool. If that's an excuse, say for example, you had a client that said, oh, like financially, because my hours at work have dropped down. I'm going to struggle with doing coaching. And you were like, well, listen, man, like, are we not making progress? Like, well, yeah, we are. Okay, cool. Do you have more hours available now because they've dropped your hours? Yeah, cool. So you need to do this amount of bar work, which you could grab a job like this week because there are so many going, and that will cover the cost. And actually, you're only working 2 to 4 hours extra a week, and that covers the gym, it covers the cost of your coaching, and it allows you to be able to progress and feel good in your skin. It's a real easy fix. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, actually, it's not that bad. Okay, cool. There we go then. It's super easy, right? As long as you know how to address the issue and you don't give it so much power that it controls your life. If it's like, this is just a problem that we have to work around, then it's easy. It's always easy. Yeah, you can focus on it and move around it always. I'm sure some are harder than others, but generally speaking, all of them have a workaround. It's a bit like my granddad's situation, right? Down about my granddad. But ultimately, reasoning with that, would he want me to stop doing what I'm doing? No, he wouldn't. Okay, cool. Well, that's more than enough of a reason for me not to stop doing what I'm doing. So don't give power to your excuses.
Mentioned it last Thursday, didn't we? Where sometimes it's just a case of writing a list of everything that you have in your life, making the time that you have, and dedicate that time to making it better. Like you said, like picking up bar work takes like literally, you could literally go to any pub and be like, "Can I work with you for the weekend?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure." And be like cash in hand, sort of easy. So again, some people, and I nearly did it when I lost my last job, and so thankful for the way that you responded, because if you wouldn't have responded with the sort of like blunt, straight up, let's do it then, and give me this sort of like pussyfooted around and it's like, oh, it's all right, let's, it's okay, and then just sort of like sacked it all in. Like, where would I be now? I wouldn't be anywhere. Like, I'd have no presence, have no people to coach, I'd have no journey myself, and just sort of been in this little spiral of like, the world's out to get me. Well, sometimes the world does seem like it's out to get you, but it's how you respond. And then you can, switch the narrative, be like, you're out to get the world, like you're out to chase whatever you want to chase because you're just putting the time and effort to do so. And yeah, it does require a little bit of sacrifice, but with what's it in Spider-Man? With great power becomes great responsibility. You've got all the power in the world to do whatever you want. And if you really want to do something, then you will do whatever it takes to get there. And it does require a little bit of sacrifice. But after that hard graft period, like no doubt we will experience after and have experienced before, after all that graft becomes this sort of like breath of fresh air where like everything is worked out the way I wanted it to be because I've just worked my ass off, I can finally sort of breathe a little bit. I've got way less sort of tension on my shoulders all the time because I just got on with it and didn't complain and didn't, become one of these people that just thinks that, again, the world is out to get them, because it's really not. It's just how you deal with it, and it's how you respond. And if you respond negatively, then negative things can happen. If you respond positively, then believe it or not, positive things are going to happen.
Yeah, man. Number one, I can't believe you just quoted Uncle Ben. That is crazy. But number two, yeah, just a bit of a personal story with this one, and this is like something that I haven't spoke about with you guys at all. I'm not too sure I've even spoke about it with you, Jake. But around 2 years ago, we went through a real tough point with the gym. Probably about 2.5 years ago. And there was a lot of emotional stuff going on in here. We just had some people that were in here that were not a good fit. And for me, I've always ran myself as a PT is like always making sure people are happy. And then it was my first experience of like, I'm going to have to actively choose to get these people out of the gym. Sorry, my phone's on silent. Because they are not a good fit for the majority of the people in the gym. And it's a negative environment. They're not good in terms of mentality, and they're actively negatively impacting the environment I wanted to create. So I had to get them gone. There was a lot of backlash from that. But also around that time, we dropped in members because they were here, and I had to reinvest into the gym. And we've always been pretty healthy in our business bank account because I've always been really, really on finances. Jay, you know that I'm like massively on finances all the time, but I'm partly it's like a family thing. My granddad got into a lot of debt, so my whole family are really on money now, and I had to push to be able to get all this equipment in. And around that time, we needed a holiday as well to be able to get away because we hadn't been on holiday for like 3 years, me and Matt. So I booked this holiday, but after I booked it, I also needed to invest. So we went down to like 8 grand in our bank account, which sounds like for a lot of you might sound like a lot of money, but as a business, it's not. It's really not. And I remember going out there and I was like, holy shit, man, this pressure is insane. Like it is, I don't know whether or not we're going to be around in the next 2 or 3 months. And it was all this negativity all at once. And there was this little thought in my head where I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, and I'd been offered around that time a job in something else, which would have paid me like 100 grand flat out from just being there. And I remember being away with Mads and having a conversation with her, being like, I don't know whether I want to do it. Like, I might just close everything down and just call it a day. We tried as the best we can do, is what it is. After about 2 days, and there was a lot of time of me walking, like I would get up at like 5 in the morning, even though we were on holiday, and I'd go for like a walk through America, and I would just be alone with my thoughts. And one day we went to Universal, and on the walk to go into Universal, I said to Mads, I was like, "Nah, like we're not fucking quitting because I would never be able to live with myself, yeah, and I would not be able to wake up in the morning knowing that I gave up on my dream because of these negative things. If we're low on income because of the investment that we made, then we just have to fucking send it." And then when we got back, there was this huge mentality shift in me. I was like, I don't give a fuck about what anybody else is saying. We're just going to push for the people that are here, make sure they have the best possible experience, and really just double down on what we were doing and improving what we were doing. And then within like 3 months, we'd grown at like, I don't know, 140% of the rate that we normally would have done. And it was just about taking all of that negative stuff and not using it as an excuse and using it as fuel, being like, if this is here now, if this is a hurdle that I have to overcome, I've just got to fucking get my head stuck straight into it and almost just like head down, run as hard as I can at this brick wall, and it will fucking smash if I just keep running at it over and over again. And in the end, the outcome was we were in such a better place. And I was way, way more happy. Maddie was way happier. The members were way happier. I could inevitably at that point pay Jamie to come on board, which was my first employee, to be able to like actually come on board as a coach. And things started just moving at this rapid rate. And this level of growth that happened afterwards was only because of these negative things, right? Like if that negative thing didn't happen, then we would have just floated on like this. And probably, being honest, we would have closed down. So sometimes when these things pop up in your life, they're not there to hold you back. They're there to test you, because if you can get over them, on the other side of this brick wall, which is the thing that's come up that you think is holding you back, on the other side of that is genuinely a lot of growth in a very short period of time. But the way you've got to view it is this is a hurdle. This is, like I said, a brick wall that you've got to run at with a helmet on over and over and over again, just making a chip each time until eventually the wall comes down. And then you walk through it. And on the other side of that wall is the results you're generally looking for. But you have to keep going, you have to persist. And for me, it was mega hard. It was super hard. And I'm disciplined at the best of times. And that was almost breaking point for me. But again, if I could give anybody a bit of advice, and that's why sometimes I might seem unsympathetic to some people when they've got problems, because I'm like, this is good. Like, if you're struggling now, it's using the Obi analogy. Obi would always go, mate, I'm so hungry, I'm so lethargic, and I'm so tired in prep. And I'm there like, sick. And he would like, yeah, sick. And the reason why we'd say sick after he was feeling like really fucked was because every time he's felt like that, he's generally lost about 3 pounds of body fat on the next check in. And every single time he did, he was that bit leaner. And ultimately, he ended up being so lean because he viewed that in that way that he won his fucking show. He was the most peeled guy on that stage at that time because he saw it as a positive rather than a negative. Whereas some people would have been like, this is so hard. This is really tough. I'm not too sure I'm going to be able to make it. Whereas he was like, this is a challenge I'm going to push through. So the outcome is always good if you just use that thing as and think of it as a wall that you have to get through. You will always get to where you want to be.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Prep is like a perfect example as well because it really does test your limits, but you feel so shit, but then you feel so good afterwards as well because of like how you look, which is great. And yeah, again, it's going back to the point where a lot of people think that and they direct energy towards stuff that doesn't need energy directed towards. It just needs an appropriate response and like a good response. You know, whether it is in your business and you're going, you know, downhill, maybe in finances, or you see yourself maybe closing up in the next couple of months, like the more you persist and you're just like, right, let's do it, then you know, what is the worst that can happen? At least you can say you've tried and you probably will get something back. Like we talk about goals all the time, and sometimes some people think to us and they're like, well, they say to us, they're like, oh, it's a bit sort of like delusional you're doing that, isn't it? And I'm like, well, yeah, but wouldn't you rather have a delusional goal and still achieve something than have a goal that, you know, you could just, that isn't as maybe, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the whole like being delusional is great because you can still achieve something. Whereas if you just sort of like have this mindset of like, oh, I'll just see what happens, then like you're not really gonna push for anything, are you? So just going like balls to the wall, and like you say, just like running at that wall until it eventually comes down, and then you just get this breath of fresh air, and you're like, fucking hell, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I dedicated the energy that I had towards it and got something good out of it, as opposed to just like crumble and let it take over me.
Yeah, man. And using an analogy that most people will be able to refer to, because if you're not a prep client, you probably won't be able to associate with that. But like finances is a good one. Like I still to this day, my granddad got in so much financial debt he decided to take his own life when I was like 12. And it's something that I'm okay talking about because obviously it happened a long time ago. I've dealt with it. But me and my mum actively talk about it, and he was a lovely guy. And the thing that pissed my mum off the most, and only now do I actually really associate with it, that level of anger, is that generally there's always a way out from rock bottom. There's always a way out from rock bottom. So, like, if you have no money left, right, you've inevitably let yourself get into a situation where no money is left. That is on you. Okay. So, you have decided not to save. You've decided to take these risks, and the outcome has not been positive, right? But what happens off the back end of that is you find a resolution, you get rid of your debt by working, you pay it off. And then what then happens is you end up budgeting better. You end up learning how to deal with money. You end up I hate it when people send me like multiple messages, man. You end up learning to budget better, and you end up learning a lot more about your income and what you can and can't risk your money on. And the outcome, the throughput of that is that you actually end up really, really well off like 3 years from that point because you've learned how to budget on the nth degree, which means that you're no longer spending frivolously. You're looking at where your income's going and you're very calculated about it. So sometimes when income is at its rock bottom, when it's at its lowest, that forces you to take action. That forces you to get on budgeting apps. That forces you to make a Google Sheets and figure out how much your mortgage is and how much you can spend on things. And, even for me and Mads, when we've been in a really tough spot before, it's like, okay, cool, we're going to bulk buy our protein from muscle food, which will save us on average, I'd say 80 to £100 a month from those things. There are definite ways that you can save a lot of money through just understanding how to use it correctly. And sometimes when you're at absolute financial zero, you're forced to do that. And it's the same with anything in life, right? All these things teach you a lot about yourself and teach you some skills that life is saying you need to fucking learn. Because if you carry on your habits the way that they're going, you are going to crash and burn. So sometimes you hitting financial rock bottom is life saying, hey, listen, you've got the capabilities to earn a lot, like you do. But if you carry on buying a meal deal 3 times a day and you're going out and you're spending all this money on a takeout every 2, 3 times a week, you're going to have no money left eventually. It doesn't matter how much money you earn, but also you're probably going to die from your habits. Yeah, like you're probably going to get type 2 diabetes. That's going to shorten your lifespan. So why don't we learn how to meal prep, learn how to actively invest some of that money in a gym membership or coaching or whatever, and let's make you healthier. So ultimately, you can work better, you can work harder, you'll probably end up getting paid more, but you will also live longer. Like you will live for a very long time, and you'll be able to live the lifestyle that you want without having to cut back on the things that you deem as irreplaceable. And you can actually invest a lot more money in things that you enjoy. So yeah, I do think that excuses are just a way for you to learn a lot and a way for you to grow, but people see them in a massive negative light. That's why for me now, anytime I enter a hurdle, I'm like, cool, right, let's fucking crack on with it.
I'm literally like a perfect example. Lost my, like I have said many times on the podcast, lost my job, and kind of people around you are like, "Oh, this is a really good incentive for you to like, get to work now." But like in your mind, it's very easy for everyone to be their own worst enemy. 100%. It's like when people come into the gym, they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen much change," and then you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Here's your side by side. There's so much change." People obviously you look at yourself in the mirror every day, so you're not going to see that much difference. And again, like I said, you're going to be your worst enemy because you're constantly like on yourself. A lot of people do not have this like positive self talk, like PMA, as we always say in PMA. A lot of people don't have it. And when I lost my job, there were people around me going, "Oh, this is really good now. You can push coaching." In my mind, I'm like, "No, I'm fucked. Can't afford this. Can't afford this." And we literally sat down together and we were like, "Right, what do you need to pay for? Cool. So you need this amount of money each month. This is what you're going to do to get it." And it's like, "Oh, this is actually really easy." Like, if anything, losing that job taught me a lot and taught me that I buy a lot of stuff that I don't need. Because
Yeah.
being financially stable is probably one of the most important things, especially nowadays. There is obviously this incentive that like we want to make as much money as possible, but sometimes you just need to break down your life and your finances, especially, and just think that like half the shit that I'm buying a month that I don't even need. So I'm saving like £200 a month now because I'm not constantly going out and buying random crap. I've got the stuff that I need and I'm just using that. And in the meantime, I'm working hard and making more money than I was previously and keeping more money because there's an incentive to keep it because I don't need the stuff that I usually would get. So sometimes it's a really good thing and it's like embracing that. It's like that sense of like pressure, like loving the pressure, which is good. Which is why we get like the timers and stuff now when we do our work. Because it's like, oh shit, I've got an hour to do my work. And then we just like lock in and just get it done. So again, sort of goes back to that whole pressure's good, like you embrace it. And the shit things that happen usually have 10 positive outcomes on the other side.
Yeah, and I think even some of our coaching clients, right? I mean, if, like Martin's a prime example. Martin's like, Lewis, I'm paying you for coaching like £200 a month. I'm saving way more than that because I was buying takeaways all the time. And his missus is in control of their finances. And she was like, "Martin, we're saving loads of money." And then it's like, "Cool, there you go." Yeah, it's a small investment at the start because obviously that's compounding on all of your bad choices. But downstream now, you're not doing that. You saved all this money. because you've got healthy habits there. And again, going back to you in that position, you even said at the start, you were like, I'll just get another job alongside it. I was like, don't, man, don't, because literally the pressure that you're feeling right now to earn money is what's going to drive you to be able to work the hours that you need to work in order to be able to get your coaching business off the ground. As soon as you try and subsidize it, you're gonna go, I don't really need to worry too much about coaching, right? Whereas if you're like, I need to worry about coaching because this is the singular thing that's going to allow me to survive. What kind of service do you think you're going to deliver? The best fucking service you possibly can, because your livelihood depends on it. It's the same as when I opened the gym. I was like, well, I could always just do part-time hours at Castle Place. And then I was like, actually, no, because unless I have pressure, I'm someone that has always left homework to the last minute when I was a kid. And I remember I handed in like a final major project for my college course, and I filmed it in 2 3 days. Right, we had 6 months, and I filmed it in 2 3 days. And my tutor came and found me after I was given a distinction, bear in mind. And he was like, do you mind if we put it up in the main hall? And God, this must have taken you ages. I was like, yeah, yeah. But actually, it's because the pressure was so heavy and hard, right? Those 2 3 days, I was a fucking animal. Yeah, like I was like, right, I need my mates to be here. Had no sense of, I don't care about anxiety at all because I've got this project I need to hand in. So I went to we needed to use a hall to film some of it. So I went to my secondary school and I was like, look, on a weekend, is the cleaner in? And they were like, yeah. I was like, do you mind if I just come in and use the hall to film some bits? Like, it's a really, really good environment. It's exactly what I need. I don't really give a shit. They were like, yeah, no one's ever asked us to do that before, but fine. So in the end, I was like, right, sent to all my mates. I was like, are we all free this weekend? They were like, yeah, cool, awesome. You're going to meet me at St. Lawrence School. You're going to meet me at the hall. We're going to film some stuff. And I scripted it out to the nth degree. I was like, right, we're in. We've only got an hour. Go, 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 go. Got it all done. And then the outcome of me spending 2 or 3 days of just insane work capacity, we're talking like 12 hours, 14 hours of editing straight per day. We got a distinction, and then they showed it in their main hall as one of the main videos for their film course. And I was like, there are people that have done this for 6 months on a very comfortable timeline, and it looks shit, right? And it's like, I'd rather be under pressure because that clearly brings out the best. Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't plan, but I'm just saying that pressure forms diamonds, doesn't it? At the end of the day, and if you're consistently fucking comfortable all the time, I don't think you're ever going to really get the best that you possibly could out of yourself. Be under pressure, do it. That's why fucking contest prep clients get such big results, and everyone's like, I want that. Well, they've got 12 weeks before they stand on stage in front of 400 people. Do you think that they're going to wake up and go, I'm going to skip a gym session if they know they're going to stand up with their top off in front of 400 people getting judged for every nth degree on their physique? Absolutely fucking not. They're not going to sleep in because they're worried. So they're going to come in, they're going to hit their sessions anyway. If you could take that mentality into a lifestyle transformation, fuck me. What would the outcome be? So yeah, I think some people, if not all people, should have some level of pressure in every aspect of their life, whether that be financially, whether that be physically, whether that be emotionally or something. Because again, like, if me and Maddie were, like, let's say, not at least aware of the fact, like, I'm aware that I look good for my age, and I'm aware that that's a massive byproduct of my habits. A massive thing for me is when I go to the gym and I train, I want to look good for her. I don't want her to go out on a night out and see a guy in great shape and be like, I wish that my partner had a little bit more discipline to be able to look a little bit like that. He's not. He's just got a gut on him, and he's quite lazy. And for me, I'm like, I don't want that to happen because I don't want her to leave me based off of my habits. And that would be the outcome eventually. And people kind of go, always are like coping, being like, no, 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 it's more than just a physical. Yes, it is, but also, like, you've got to take some level of accountability that your partner should look at you with a level of attraction, because otherwise that's just being horrible, right? That's not being nice to them. It's like, look at me with all my bad habits. Look at the outcome of that. Oh, by the way, you have to stay with me because I'm a nice person. I'd much rather Maddie be like, you know what? I choose to be with this person. He's a great person psychologically. He's very disciplined. His body replicates that. He makes the right choices. He's very stable financially. I'm happy to be with him. Same with Maddie. Maddie knows that because Maddie goes to the gym. Maddie is very, very on it with looking after Milo, looking after the house, and she is spot on. She is the best fiance I could ever ask for. And I'm super, super happy and I love her to pieces. And again, I'm not going to say for me a massive turn on is discipline. So she knows that we got together under that pretense. So if she was ever not pursuing something, I think that would affect our relationship. And we have spoke about that before, but it won't because she knows that so she works on it, and that creates a really good environment, right? So pressure is good. Pressure is always good as long as you look at it in the right way. Use it to spur you on to make the right choices. Yeah, and the outcome of me wanting to be that person for Mads is me looking good and feeling good in myself. The outcome of Mads wanting to be disciplined for me is that her business is great. She is doing well and she is succeeding at all the things that she set out in her life. So it's not a bad thing, right? And I don't give a fuck if people say otherwise, but pressure builds diamonds, so just lean into it.
It's a perfect message to start people off in the week, man.
Yeah, man.
Take negative scenarios, make them positive, embrace the pressure as well, and just
Mhm.
become a better person by the end of the week. And you add each week that you're progressively embracing that pressure, and you will become like an unstoppable machine, like without a doubt. Like it's fact that you will.
Machine. Machine. Love that. Love that. Right. Cool. So on that note, guys, go and get stuck into your fucking week. Go and smash it. Go and kill it. Go and have a gym session. Remember, in all those quiet moments when no one's watching, push out an additional rep. Make sure you get your meal prep done. And really just fucking focus on getting that fucking needle moving in the right direction. Yeah. Every single moment, every single opportunity that you can have, just make sure you're making the right choices to go towards your goals. And set yourself out some mini targets. Yeah, like set yourself out some mini goals because again, even a small amount of pressure, whether it be a holiday or something like that you're getting ready for, will just give you that little bit more of a push to be able to turn up in the gym in the morning and be able to get your meal prep done. So on that note, gonna love you and leave you, and I wish you all a very successful week. And tune in on Thursday, and we'll go into a little bit more depth when it comes to motivation, things like that. If you need a bit of a midweek spur on,
LFG. Let's fucking go. Let's get to work, baby.
LFG.
Let's do it.
We need a little chant, don't we? LFG, LFG. All right, guys. Right. Much love. Have a lovely day. And if you need anything, just drop me or Jake a message.